Hello, everyone. I'm Roger Bowie, and I'm rapping with Cy Winstanley, the singer-songwriter who we all know through his band, the Tattletale Saints, twice winner of the New Zealand Folk Tui, and for the past several years, a resident of Nashville. Hello, Cy.
Hello there. Good afternoon to you, Roger.
Are you still living the dream? Or
I think so.
Is there a more battle-weary, less sanguine view of the world these days?
No, I still feel very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, and yeah, I'm really enjoying everything that I do. I mean, it's been a changing time. The last 2 years, obviously, but even independent of the last 2 years, my musical life has been Tattletale Saints, and then now I'm playing more guitar for different people as my job, and now I've got the kids music project. So it's kind of moving in and out of different things, but yeah, I've always liked that change in my life, and that's why I've kind of moved around countries and things. So change in my musical life is good too. I love it.
And you're in America, the great paradox. It
Yes.
sort of it identifies itself in terms of its contradictions.
Yeah.
How hard is it to live in that paradox? How constrained are you from being open and unabashed, and both the sort of in terms of your personal relationships as well as your songwriting?
I mean, I don't hold back at all in front of anyone or anything like that, and not that I have a extreme views or anything like that, but no, it's a funny place to live, and Nashville is an interesting one because it is a very liberal city in a hugely illiberal state. So there is that contradiction there, but no, I mean, I miss my New Zealand life a lot, and I've been here now I'm in New Zealand right now, and I have been for 2.5 months, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing for me. It's nothing like the connectedness with the land and the outdoors, which is what I love about it, and which is what I kind of miss in my Nashville life. But no, I really love it over there, and I'm definitely a foreigner, and I had to have oh my God, I love your accent. Where are you from? That conversation, honestly, 5 times a day, every single day. And it gets a little tiresome, but yeah, it's all good. I'm not going to change my accent. And if I say something and someone doesn't understand it, I've gotten to this habit now of not repeating it in an American accent, but just saying it exactly the same again. And if you don't fucking understand it, you just got to listen a little harder and understand it.
That's all right. Yeah. I'm not talking strangely. You guys are listening strangely.
Damn right.
So you the dream is still intact. But in terms of survival, you've just sort of laid out a whole bunch of different things that you have to do to rustle or hustle, and yeah, I mean, obviously that's not unique to you. That's a musician's life. But
yeah,
tell us a bit more about a typical week or a typical month, if there is such a thing.
Well, most of my money I make from playing guitar for different people, and that can be when one artist is touring really heavily or recording, it'll just be with that one artist. But typically I kind of jump around between 3 and 7 different artists, and they can be mini tours or one-off gigs or a big tour. So that's kind of how I make my living for the most part. But I also write songs and am trying to kind of put that more in the foreground, and get a little bit from that, but not as much as I would like. So it's mostly a matter of doing the gigs on guitar to pay my bills, and which I enjoy very much as well, but really trying to work the writing muscle as much as I can, because I find like exercise or any kind of thing that you do on a regular basis, in order to get good at it, for me, I need to do it day in, day out, pretty much. And so yeah, I just try to play guitar.
You'll have a scheduling difficulty from time to time.
I have always been pretty anal with my schedule, and I have timers on all different devices, and I just tend to run in block scheduling, I think some people call it. But my schedule is hectic, but I find that the good thing about being a musician in Nashville is that being a musician over there is a very common and kind of serious job that people respect and understand.
Right.
And I know that musicians have got a bit of a reputation of being late and flaky and lazy and whatever, but I found that over there you can't do that because you won't get called back for the gigs. So that bodes well for organizing your time and not wasting your time.
So you're running yourself as a business.
Oh yeah.
And you do it all by yourself. You don't use an agent, or?
I don't use an agent for my own. I've got a publishing situation over here, and I've got a record label which does my kids thingy. So they do some stuff, but in terms of gigs, my interactions are either with the artist who I'm playing with or with their manager, and that's how I get the gigs. And then for my own stuff, no, it's all just me trying to figure it out and cobble it together. And not my favorite part of the job is the business side of things. In fact, my least favorite part is the social media side of things, but we all got to do that. So
I don't, although I do LinkedIn, but no, I've managed to. I don't need to, but now one of the things that I didn't know, but you've talked about it a couple of times, is this alter ego that you have called Simon Stanley. And is that right, Simon Stanley?
Yeah, Simon Stanley.
And this is the children's books and songs that I'm sure a lot of people watching this won't know that either. So tell us, how did that come about?
Well, Simon Stanley my name is Cy Winstanley, but because Cy is, I guess, quite an unusual name, I've been misheard as all different things. And Cy Winstanley is something that I got misheard as a lot. And I started writing some kids songs for my niece, actually, who at the time was about 3 years old. And I don't have kids, and I don't think I want kids, but I love my niece and I love kids. So I decided to write a song which led to more songs for her. And the last song that I wrote, Floating Down the River, or the last song that I published, that I released, I then turned into a book. So my thing that I'm pushing right now is this song and book combo, which has also got a little animated music video. And I really love the kids music space. I think my songwriting has always been pretty narrative based. So I feel like with kids music, it's the same thing, but you can just make it a lot more colorful and kind of flesh it out with things that, more details. And it's really fun. I love working with illustrators that I've been doing it with. And it's just a different thing for me. And I don't find it has as many like emotional hang-ups as my other songwriting. It's not quite as serious. Not saying that you can't have serious music, kids music, but it's just fun, and I enjoy it a lot.
And your fellow Kiwi Nashville player Jackie, she's having a lot of fun with her kids project.
She has entered the realm. Yes,
there's a trend coming here.
It is. Yeah. Well, I actually met up with Craig Smith the other day, the Wonky Donkey guy, and that's he's done very well from that whole thing, and a very great guy, and really I really loved I hadn't really listened to his music all that much, but driving from Wanaka to Queenstown where he lives, you go over the Crown Range, which is like an hour and a quarter drive or whatever. So I listened to his stuff the whole way, and it's so cool. Like it's kind of what I want to do in terms of writing music that kids like, but also adults can listen to and not want to throw themselves.
I was glancing around there thinking, why didn't I not have your Floating Down the River book?
I don't even have it either.
It's upstairs, and it's waiting for the next opportunity to pass on to my youngest grandson. So it's there. I see it often. The other thing that a few of us might not have realized is your affinity for and love of jazz, and your skills in jazz.
Yes, that's how I kind of got into music, actually, was through jazz. Well, not into music, but when I started going really hard with guitar was through the jazz combo and the jazz program at Rangitoto College, where I was going to school. And I'm not like, I think to be a really I'm not totally dedicated to jazz 100%. And so as a result, if someone's playing a tune which is totally heady, like crazy modern jazz, it's maybe a bit out of my depth, but I can hang, I can get by with most of it. And I love it.
Must be a huge legacy of guys like you. I mean, I see it. A lot with the young musicians coming through today. They're all coming out of jazz school.
Mm.
And they're all applying what they learn to the music that we love, the folk, the Americana, the alt folk stuff. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is everywhere. And the jazz conservatory programs around the world are definitely a new thing. Like the jazz greats in the 50s there was no jazz programs back then. So it's not an essential thing, but I think it has really advanced the genre as well. And it's not necessary to have a qualification in jazz to do it, but it produces some really good stuff. But the hardest thing that I found, especially being in Nashville, when jazz is kind of a dirty word a little bit, is because jazz players can have the tendency to overplay a little bit sometimes. And in Americana country music, it's more about playing the melody, playing simple stuff which accompanies that. It's about tone, it's about things like that. So you don't want someone that's like going crazy on it. So
there are no drawn out solo, not so much in Americana.
Not really. So I've played with a few jazz musicians in the Americana thing, and I was definitely guilty of this when I started playing. You have to tone it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that if you take some influences from all different places, some jazz, some Americana, some country, some blues or whatever, it'll all come together and make an interesting player out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to get all those graduates out of the local scene together. So, because I'm sure that would be one hell of a gig.
Oh yeah, there's some killer musicians in New Zealand and Australia, jazz musicians. I think some of the strongest players are, and in Europe. I mean everywhere, but yeah, there's some kill players here.
And speaking of good players, it was great to see you and Dave Kahn together the other night at Frida's, because you guys go back a long way.
We do. Yeah, I've known Dave since I was I don't know, like 11 or 12 or something. We started playing, and then we met when we were around that age, and we would busk outside the warehouse. And our first thing that we were saving money for was this music trip to Samoa. And we busked, and we, as a young teenager, busking and playing kind of fiddle, Americana, kind of bluegrassy music, we made so much money. Gosh, if I made that much money now, I would be it'll be amazing. And then we left school, and then we got this gig at this bar called O'Carroll's in Vulcan Lane, and that was my kind of one of my first covers gigs on a regular basis. And some guy came in and gave us, he worked at Borders CDs, and he gave us a couple of bluegrass CDs. And that is actually the moment that I really started to get into bluegrass and country music. So I didn't really know it existed before that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So Dave Kahn's a good old friend, and obviously he plays with some of the
he plays the ubiquitous Dave Kahn, but he lifts anybody up to a different level. He does.
Oh yeah, he's so awesome. He's such a character as well. I love playing with him.
And you touched on this a bit earlier too, but when you're back down here, what else do you do apart from the odd gig or two that you've explained? Is there a different source of inspiration for you back home?
I do a lot of songwriting. I've been doing a lot of songwriting since I've been down here. There's a difference. Well, I think the main source of inspiration here is I run a lot, and I run most days, and I run long distances, and I go deep into the bush. So I really find a great inspiration from that, and from being outside, which I don't get quite so much in the States. So that's a big thing that I get here. And I don't know, I like the cohesiveness of the New Zealand people. I know that's a generalization, but I feel like there's a real kind of oneness and understanding here that makes me feel like good, and I don't get that so much in the States.
We're quite a homogenous little tribe, really. We have our differences, but relatively speaking,
Yeah.
we are quite a lucky little. People talk about, Jacinta talks about the team. I rather jokingly talk about the flock of 5 million.
yeah, I like that.
I mean, that could be a
flock
good
idea.
thing. It could be a good thing. It doesn't need to be negative.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot too. I've been reading only New Zealand literature. Well, actually, no, I did read I read Anna Karenina. When I first got to MIQ a couple of months ago, I read the Tolstoy, the War and Peace, a couple of years ago as my first like quarantine project, is to read War and Peace. So I read Anna Karenina when I first came here, but since then I've been reading who is Maurice Shadbolt.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a bunch of books. I've read some of his before on the Māori wars, and that was really interesting. And I've just started a Witty Edamaya book as well.
Yes, he writes well. I haven't read one of his for a long time.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
And who else are you listening to? I'll tell you what, in reference to that question, who else are you listening to? Speaking of Kiwis in Nashville, I've just come across South for Winter.
South for Winter. Oh,
have you heard of them?
I have not heard of them. I should write that down.
South for Winter. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. I've got them. I'm curating them. I'm playing some of your stuff in my next show, and I've got them South for Winter. Yeah, look, new album. There's a Kiwi guy, and I think his partner who's American, and they're here at the moment. But they got a string player, celloist, and fiddle who's also based in Nashville. They're bloody cool. You want to check them out.
Very cool. Yes, and I will do. I don't know that many New Zealanders in Nashville. I know Vanessa McGowan, who's my Tattletale Saints partner. She's in Nashville for the most part. And I also know George Jackson. Don't know if you know him. He is the partner of Rachel Bayman, who is an American songwriter who I play guitar for and have toured with a lot.
Yes.
And but he's a Kiwi, and he's got a string band, like
George Jackson,
old-timey string band situation. Just put out a new album, so I really love that kind of old-timey string band music. Other Kiwis, I don't know, but this South Winter.
Jackie's not there at the moment.
Oh, Jackie Bristow, of course. I know Jackie Bristow very well. I saw her the other day. I've done a few gigs with her since I've been back.
Yes, yeah. Well, she's got a new album out too. So what's next for you in Tattletales? Have you got another album planned, or?
We are working on some things. I'm actually going to release some music under my own name. I've released a little bit, and I'm going to do some more. So that's kind of taking up the bulk of my original writing. Tattletales, I'm not quite sure. We're considering doing an album of some of the covers that we've done over the years, and possibly coming back this year, late this year or early next year, for a tour.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's the aim. So
Did we hear some of your solo stuff at the Frida's the other night?
Yeah, you did. So I put out a song called "She Had the Dumplings," so otherwise known as the COVID Blues. So that was my first solo offering, and I've got another couple of tracks that are about to come out, and then a bunch of other ones that are not recorded yet. But that's my main mission for this year, is to get that recorded and maybe not released this year, but there'll be something released. But I've got a new recording project that I need to do and then release it probably next year. But also the kids thing, I've got to record and release an album of that this year too. So
that's fantastic. And now, because I'm in a fortunate position where I might duck, but you can't. Even if you do want to punch me for this question, you can't hit me. That is. Do you ever get tired of being compared to Paul Simon?
Well, no, I don't really. I love Paul Simon. I listen to him. He's one of my biggest influences. His songwriting is just, there is none finer for me. And
But there's a compliment, because when you listen to if you're listening to your Tattletale Saints albums, and you didn't know who it was,
Yeah.
then that's your go-to person.
Oh mate, he's the best. I have actually been running a lot recently, and I go through phases with not listening to any music or listening to like cryptocurrency podcasts. But recently, I've been kind of diving back down this like 90s and Paul Simon rabbit hole on my running, and I love there's this album Hearts and Bones, which is I think the one after Graceland. Is it after Graceland? But yeah,
it's certainly after. Yeah.
Man, I love that album so much.
I could go in here and pull out a few albums in the back from behind, but they're too tightly packed. So
it's a good problem to have, though.
Hey, it's great to catch up, and because I think the last time we actually were face to face, as we were the other night at Frida's, was in Nashville itself.
Yes.
We had this grand scheme, which might still happen one of these days, but I do know, I know obviously it helps me to know that environment and to know how you guys fit into it, and it's great to hear that you're doing so well there. So best of luck as you head back into the cauldron.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. It's exciting to get back.
And on that note, we'll wrap it up. That was a wrap with Roger, and that was Cy Winstanley. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.